Welcome to Monk's Temple. Come in. Find a space to sit, or lie down. There's no rush here. Let your eyes soften, if they're open. Feel the weight of your body settling, surrendering to the surface beneath you. And just listen, to the sound of your own breath, coming in, and going out. You've been carrying a world on your shoulders. Not the real world, no, the one made of thoughts. A world of what-ifs and should-haves, of conversations that replay long after the room has emptied, of invisible judgments you feel from people who are, more often than not, thinking about themselves. You're tired. Not the kind that sleep fixes, but a soul-deep weariness from caring about things that have no heartbeat, no pulse, no ability to care back. What if the secret wasn't in caring more, but in caring differently? What if the peace you've been chasing on frantic feet was waiting for you, all this time, in the very stillness you've been avoiding? For the next while, we're not going to add anything to your mind. We're going to gently, kindly, take things away. We'll remove the heavy coats of expectation you didn't know you were wearing. We'll untangle the strings attached to your wrists, making you dance to a tune you never chose. This is an invitation to a different way of being. It's drawn from the ancient, evergreen wisdom of Buddhism, not as a religion you must follow, but as a mirror you can hold up to your own life. So, let everything else fade for now. The to-do list will wait. The unresolved tension will wait. In this space, in this temple of words and silence, there is only this moment. And this moment is enough. Let me tell you a story from my own life, from many summers ago. I knew a gardener. An old man who tended a plot of land behind the temple where I spent my early years. His hands were maps of soil and time. One spring, he planted a row of rare peonies, the kind that promise blooms like teacups of sunset. He cared for them meticulously. The right water, the perfect food, stakes to support them. Weeks passed. Buds formed, tight and green. He would sit for hours, just watching them. I saw the expectation in his eyes, a vivid picture of the glorious display to come. Then, a late frost came. A single, cruel night. It didn't kill the plants, but it stunned them. The buds remained closed, then slowly, one by one, they browned at the edges and drooped, never opening. The gardener was devastated. For days, he moved slowly, a shadow of disappointment. He'd stand over the row, shaking his head. All that care, he'd mutter. For nothing. Then, one afternoon, I found him there again. But his posture was different. Softer. He wasn't staring at the peonies anymore. His gaze was on the ground between the plants. A smile touched his lips. I walked over and saw what he saw. In the shelter of the peony stems, a carpet of tiny, blue forget-me-nots had erupted. They were never planted, never planned for. They were volunteers, gifts from the wind. They were modest, breathtakingly beautiful, and thriving because the peonies had failed, allowing light to reach the soil. He looked at me, his eyes clear. I was so busy waiting for the sunset, he said, I almost missed the sky. This, perhaps, is our first and most profound trap. We plant a seed, a hope, a plan, an expectation of how someone should act, how our day should go, how life should reward us. We pour all our care into that single, imagined bloom. And when life brings a frost, a harsh word, a failed plan, a disappointment, we think the entire garden has died. Our suffering isn't in the frost. Frosts happen. Our suffering is in the rigid, unyielding image we held of the one, specific flower we demanded to see. The Buddha taught that the origin of suffering is tanha, often translated as craving or thirst. But it's more subtle than wanting a new car. It's the craving for reality to be different than it is. It's the expectation, the invisible script we clutch in our hands, that says, it should be this way. When the world, in its wild and unpredictable flow, deviates from our script, we feel the paper cut deep into our soul. The gardener's peace returned not when the peonies magically bloomed, but when he let go of the story of the peonies. He surrendered his expectation. And in that space of surrendered expectation, his eyes could open to the forget-me-nots, to the beauty and grace that was actually present, unasked for and perfect. Your life right now is that garden. There are unbloomed peonies everywhere, hopes that haven't materialized, people who aren't acting as you'd wish, goals that seem stubbornly frozen. The pain you feel is the strain of clutching the picture of the peony. What if you loosened your grip, just a little? What tiny, beautiful, unlooked-for forget-me-nots are already blooming in the shadows of your disappointment, waiting for your gentle, accepting gaze? This is the practice for today. Find one small expectation you're holding. Maybe that your commute be easy, that a colleague be cheerful, that your own mood be consistently bright. See it as a seed you're clutching. Now, consciously, place that seed back into the earth of reality. Say to yourself, it may bloom, or it may not. I am here to witness the garden, not to command it. The relief in that simple act is the first breath of a liberated mind. If this gentle unraveling speaks to you, if you feel a quiet yes within, consider subscribing to Monk's Temple. It's a simple way to plant a flag here, in this space of clarity, and remind yourself to return. Your presence is a light in this community. This brings us to the single most important understanding we can cultivate. It is the bedrock of Buddhist psychology and the key to everything that follows. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You have a thought, I am not enough. You feel an emotion, a surge of anxiety. And what do? We become it. I am anxious. I am a failure. I am hurt. We collapse the vastness of our being into a single, passing weather pattern and then wonder why we feel so small, so storm-tossed. Let me offer you a new metaphor. Picture your deepest self as the sky, vast, boundless, eternally clear, and fundamentally silent. Always present. Now, picture your thoughts, feelings, sensations, and memories as the weather. Sunshine of joy, clouds of worry, thunderstorms of anger, gentle rain of sadness, fog of confusion. The weather moves through the sky. It appears, it changes, it rages, it clears. But does the sky become the cloud? Is the sky damaged by the lightning? Does the storm, no matter how violent, stain the sky's essential nature? No. Never. The sky holds the weather without being defined by it. It is the silent, spacious witness to every temporary condition. This is your true nature. You are the sky. The anxiety is a weather system passing through. The critical thought is a dark cloud drifting by. The old memory is a distant rumble of thunder from a storm that has long since moved on. You have simply forgotten your skyness. You've been taught to focus only on the weather, to obsess over every cloud, to prepare for storms that may never come, and to believe that the forecast is your permanent identity. A fundamental Buddhist teaching is anatta, often translated as non-self. This isn't a nihilistic idea that you don't exist. It's a liberating one. You are not the limited, solid, story-bound character you've been building in your head. You are not the role of the anxious one, the people pleaser, the perpetual fixer. Those are weather patterns. You are the aware space in which these patterns are known. When you feel overwhelmed today, try this. Pause. Breathe deeply into your belly. Feel the breath as it enters and leaves. And then, in your mind's eye, shift your identity. Don't say, "I am sad." Instead, acknowledge, there is sadness here. Don't claim, "I am panicking." Observe, a feeling of panic is arising. Create that tiny, crucial gap between the observer, the sky, and the observed, the weather. This is mindfulness. It is not passivity. It is the ultimate empowerment. It is the choice to stop being the rag doll tossed by the storm and to remember you are the open space that contains it. The sky doesn't control the weather. It allows it, watches it, and knows it is untouched by it. Your peace begins the moment you stop fighting the storm and remember your fundamental, unshakable nature as the sky. Many years ago, I lived near a mountain lake so clear it was said to reflect the exact mood of the heavens. High above this lake were two villages. The first village, Cloudcrest, was built right on the lake's rushing inlet stream. The second, Stillwater, was situated on the calm, wide basin where the water settled before continuing its journey. The people of Cloudcrest lived in constant agitation. When leaves fell in the forest upstream, they'd clog the narrow inlet. The villagers would shout, scramble, and fight to pull them out, blaming the trees, the wind, each other. When rain fell upstream, their stream would turn muddy and wild. They'd panic, build hasty walls, and curse the clouds. Their lives were a series of frantic reactions to whatever the stream brought them. They were tired, angry, and their water, their life, was always turbulent. The people of Stillwater, however, lived very differently. Leaves floated into their wide basin. They simply drifted to the shores in their own time. The villagers would collect them later for compost. Muddy water from upstream rains flowed in. They did nothing. They waited. In the wide, still space of their lake, the sediment would settle to the bottom, and within hours, the water would be clear again. They observed the disturbances, but they didn't join the chaos. They trusted the natural clarity of the still, deep space to restore itself. Your mind is that lake. The world, other people, events, these are the upstream forest and the weather. Thoughts, impulses, emotions are the leaves and the mud. Most of us live like the people of Cloudcrest, at the narrow inlet of reactivity. Every leaf, a critical comment, triggers a frantic scramble. Every surge of mud, a bad day, a disappointment, sends us into a panic, trying to build walls against feelings that will, by their nature, pass. The wisdom of Buddhism, and the path to peace, is to move your dwelling place in your own mind from Cloudcrest to Stillwater. It's not about stopping the leaves or the rain. You can't. It's about cultivating the wide, deep, still basin of awareness within you. When a harsh word comes, instead of letting it immediately muddy your entire being, you let it enter the spaciousness of your awareness. You pause. You breathe. You don't jump in to pull it out immediately. You allow the initial churn to settle. From that settled place, you can see the thing clearly. You can choose a response, or you can choose no response at all. The clarity of your still water is never permanently lost, it is only temporarily obscured by your own frantic stirring. The Buddha taught about the gap between stimulus and response. In that gap lies our freedom and our growth. The villagers of Cloudcrest had no gap, stimulus and reaction were one. The people of Stillwater lived in the gap. They understood that the lake's nature was clarity, and turmoil was a temporary visitor. Where do you live in your mind? Are you at the turbulent inlet, reacting to every piece of debris? Or are you cultivating the deep, still basin, allowing disturbances to settle so your innate clarity can shine through? The choice of dwelling is yours, and it is made moment by moment, breath by breath. We've spoken of the sky and the lake, of spaciousness and stillness. But how do we live this when the world feels like a torrent? The answer lies in a concept we might call mental minimalism. We understand physical minimalism, owning fewer possessions to create space, clarity, and freedom. Mental minimalism is the same principle applied to the inner world. It is the intentional, gentle art of decluttering your attention, your obligations, and your emotional engagements. Your energy is not infinite. Your attention is the most precious currency you possess. Yet, how do you spend it? Scattering it like coins thrown into a wishing well, hoping some random wish will come true. You say yes to tasks out of guilt, scroll through feeds out of boredom, engage in arguments out of pride, replay past pains out of habit. Your psychic space becomes a cluttered attic, packed with dusty boxes of what-ifs, broken furniture of old resentments, and piles of shoulds you can't even identify anymore. No wonder you feel tired. You are the curator of a mental museum of burdens. Buddhism doesn't glorify busyness. It reveres presence. A single act performed with full, undivided attention is worth 1,000 performed in distracted haste. The Buddha himself said, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace." Let's adapt that, better than 1,000 scattered, half-hearted actions is one action done with complete, embodied presence. Think of your focus as a lantern in a vast, dark forest. If you swing it wildly in every direction, you see only fleeting, frightening glimpses. A twisted branch looks like a monster, a rustle causes panic. You exhaust yourself and see nothing clearly. But if you plant your feet, calm your breath, and hold the lantern steadily in one direction, the light pierces the darkness. You see the path. You see the true nature of the trees. You move with confidence and calm. Your life is that forest. Social media, the news, other people's demands, your own compulsive thinking, they are all voices shouting, "Shine the light here. Now here. Over here. Danger." And you spin, dizzy and afraid. The practice of mental minimalism is to choose your beam. It is the radical discipline of asking, moment to moment, does this deserve the light of my attention? That draining social media debate? That worry about a future event you cannot control? That compulsion to check your email for the 10th time? These are branches in the dark. They only become monsters when you give them your precious light. So, let's practice. Not for your whole life, just for today. Choose 3 essential things. Not 20. 3. 1 for your well-being, a walk, a healthy meal, 5 minutes of silence. 1 for your responsibilities, the one task that would make the biggest difference. 1 for your heart, a genuine connection, an act of kindness, time with something you love. Write them down. Let them be your lantern's beam. Whenever you feel pulled to swing your light wildly, come back to this question. Is this one of my three? Is this serving my peace, my purpose, or my presence? If not, gently, without judgment, turn your lantern back to what you have chosen. Doing less is not laziness. It is profound respect for your life force. It is the recognition that a crowded life is a shallow life, and a focused life is a deep, meaningful one. You are not put on this earth to attend to every noise. You are here to walk your path with clarity, one steady beam of light at a time. In a valley renowned for its weavers, there was one who was said to be the greatest. People would travel for miles to buy her tapestries. They weren't just fabric, they were stories in thread, so vivid you could feel the emotions they depicted. A young apprentice, eager to learn her secret, came to work for her. He watched her for weeks. She would begin with a clear vision, sketching a beautiful scene. But then, something strange would happen. As she wove, she would incorporate a stray thread of an unexpected color that fell into her lap. She'd change the pattern to accommodate a slight imperfection in the wool. If a bird flew past the window in a way that caught her eye, she might add its silhouette to the border. The apprentice was confused. "Master," he said one day, "you start with one plan, but you keep changing it. How do you know the tapestry will be beautiful if you don't follow the original design perfectly?" The weaver smiled, her hands never stopping their rhythmic dance. "The original design," she said, "is just the first thread. It is the invitation. But the tapestry itself is a conversation, between my hands, the wool, the light, the mistakes, and the surprises. If I cling too tightly to the first idea, I become a prisoner to it. I fight the wool. I resent the mistakes. The tapestry becomes stiff, lifeless. But if I hold the vision lightly, like a whisper, then I can dance with what actually arrives at my loom. The flaw becomes a unique feature. The surprise becomes the story's heart. The true beauty is not in the perfect execution of a plan, but in the alive, responsive relationship with every single moment at the loom." She looked at him, her eyes clear as the sky. The masterpiece is never the cloth on the frame. The masterpiece is the act of weaving itself, fully awake to every thread, exactly as it is. This is the essence of non-attachment, a cornerstone of Buddhist wisdom. It is so often misunderstood as indifference, as not caring. Nothing could be further from the truth. The weaver cared deeply, about the wool, the process, the beauty. What she did not do was cling. She did not clutch her initial design so tightly that it strangled the living creation trying to emerge. We do this with our lives. We have a design, our 5-year plan, our image of a perfect relationship, our vision of how today should unfold. Then life sends a stray thread, a job loss, a disagreement, a traffic jam, an illness. We panic. We try to force the reality back onto our rigid design. We fight the wool. We suffer, believing the tapestry is ruined because it doesn't match the picture in our head. Non-attachment is the weaver's wisdom. It is caring passionately for the process. For showing up, for being present, for doing your best, while holding the outcome lightly. It is understanding that life is a cooperative creation, and your original design is just the opening note in a symphony you don't fully control. Can you love a person without demanding they never change? Can you work toward a goal without staking your entire worth on its achievement? Can you have a plan for the day and greet the unexpected interruption with curiosity instead of fury? This is non-attachment. It is not cold, it is creatively free. It allows you to dance with life as it is, not as you demanded it to be. Your tapestry becomes richer, more surprising, and far more resilient. Let's look at one of the heaviest, most common weights we carry, the need for approval, the compulsion to perform. From a very young age, we are handed scripts. Be a good girl. Be a strong boy. Be successful. Be nice. Be productive. Be impressive. We learn that love, safety, and worth seem to come when we perform these roles well. So we put on the costumes and step onto the stage, day after day. But who is the audience? And who wrote this play? Imagine you are a marionette. You look alive, you move, you dance. But from your limbs, dozens of fine, almost invisible strings extend upward into the darkness. One string is tugged by the fear of your father's disapproval. Another is pulled by the desire for your boss's praise. Another jerks when you imagine strangers on the internet judging you. Another twitches when you compare yourself to an old friend's highlight reel. You dance, but it is not your dance. You are exhausted because you are being moved by 1,000 different hands, each pulling for their own reason. This is samsara in a personal sense, the cyclical, suffering-filled existence Buddhism seeks to end. It is the life lived as a reaction to external pulls. The Buddha's radical teaching was that you can cut the strings. Not by leaving society, but by seeing the mechanism clearly. The first step is to name the strings. Sit in stillness after a moment of social anxiety, of frustration, of compulsive posting. Ask gently, what string was just pulled? You'll begin to hear the answers. The good person string. The must be productive string. The don't be a burden string. The they should like me string. The act of naming is an act of light. It illuminates the mechanism. You see that the feeling isn't just anxiety, it's the vibration of a specific string labeled fear of being seen as incompetent. This is powerful. You are no longer a confused puppet, you are a conscious being observing the puppet show of your own conditioning. The second step is the conscious snip. This doesn't mean becoming rude or neglecting duties. It means changing the source of your motivation. Instead of acting because the approval string is yanking, you pause. You breathe. You ask your own heart, what is the wise, the kind, the authentic thing to do from my own center? And then you move from that place. The action might look the same, you might still do the work, attend the event, but the inner experience is utterly different. You are no longer a marionette, you are a person, choosing. You stop performing for a phantom audience and start living for an audience of one, your own awake conscience. The Buddhist path is one of awakening, from the sleep of conditioned reactivity to the lucidity of conscious choice. The applause of the world is a hollow, fleeting sound. The quiet affirmation of your own integrity is a resonance that fills your entire being with peace. The strings lose their power when you realize you were never truly tied, you were just convinced you were. In the heart of a great city was an ancient library, its corridors endless, its shelves towering into shadow. It was said to contain a copy of every story ever thought. The head librarian's duty was not to read the books, but to maintain perfect silence and order. One day, a frantic man ran into the library. "Help," he cried, his voice echoing. "A terrible story is following me. It's about my failure, my humiliation. I can't escape it." He collapsed in a heap. The old librarian approached, her footsteps silent. She didn't offer advice. She simply said, "Show me." The man, trembling, led her to a dusty, neglected aisle. There, on a middle shelf, was a plain, worn volume. It pulsed with a faint, anxious light. "That's it," he whispered. "That's the story of my worst day. It plays in my head every night." The librarian nodded. "And what do you do when it calls to you?" "I go to it," the man said. "I take it down. I open it. I read every painful page, again and again. I argue with the words in the margins. I try to rewrite the ending. I slam it shut, but it just falls open again." "I see," said the librarian. "And have you noticed the rest of the library?" The man looked around, confused. "What about it?" "It contains," she said softly, "the story of your first laugh. The tale of a kindness you once received. The epic of your resilience. The quiet poem of yesterday's sunset you noticed. Millions of stories. Yet, you spend all your time in this one, dark aisle, reading this one, painful book. You are not a prisoner of the book. You are a prisoner of your own compulsion to keep rereading it." She placed a gentle hand on the anxious volume. It immediately stopped pulsing. "You are the librarian," she said. "Not the reader of one terrible tale. Your job is not to fight the book, or even to understand it fully. Your job is to know it is here, filed away. And then, with your attention, your silent, powerful attention, to turn the light of your awareness to other shelves. The story only has power if you keep checking it out. Your mind is that library. The overthinking loop, the replay of an argument, the catastrophic, what-if, scenario, these are just books. You are not those stories. You are the aware librarian. When you find yourself in that dark aisle, hunched over that familiar, painful volume, you have a choice. You can, as the librarian taught, simply acknowledge its location. Ah. The "I'm not good enough" story is on the shelf. I see it. And then, without judgment, without engagement, you turn and walk away. You go to a different aisle. You feel the sun from the window on your skin, sense perception. You listen to the sound of your breath, present moment awareness. You remember a story of gratitude, a positive memory. You don't have to burn the book. You don't have to solve it. You just have to stop feeding it with the energy of your rereading. This is the end of inner drama. The drama isn't in the book's existence, it's in your relentless, identified reading of it. Close the cover. Your peace is in the silent, spacious halls of the library itself, not in any single story it holds. Life is movement. Change is its only constant. Yet, our instinct is to resist this fundamental truth. We want pleasant feelings to stay forever. We want unpleasant feelings to never come. We want people and situations to be fixed, permanent, reliable in the ways we prefer. This resistance to what is, this inner no, is the engine of so much of our suffering. Imagine you are in a small boat on the ocean. A large wave approaches. Instinct 1, resist. You see the wave as an enemy. You panic. You try to row directly against it, or you turn the boat to face it head-on, bracing for a crash. You expend enormous energy, you are drenched and terrified, and often, you are still tossed violently or capsized. Instinct 2, avoid. You see the wave and desperately try to paddle sideways to get out of its path. But the ocean is vast, and waves are many. You exhaust yourself in evasion, living in constant anxiety about the next swell, never enjoying the sail. Now, imagine a third way. You see the wave. You feel the fear, but you don't let it command you. You take a breath. You recognize, this is a wave. It has the nature to rise, and it has the nature to fall. You don't row against it. You don't frantically flee. You simply turn your boat to face the shore, and you let the wave lift you. You accept its energy. You go with it. For a moment, you are rising high, then you are carried forward, then you settle as it passes underneath you. You are not destroyed, you are carried. You may even find that the wave brought you closer to where you wanted to go. The wave is any difficult experience, grief, anger, failure, uncertainty, physical pain. Your boat is your awareness. The ocean is life. Buddhist practice deeply understands this. It teaches equanimity, a balanced, open-hearted acceptance of the ever-changing flow of experience, the pleasant and the unpleasant. It's not apathy. It is the profound understanding that fighting the wave only ensures you drown in the struggle. Accepting the wave allows you to ride it. The practice is in the moment of seeing the swell on the horizon. That tightness in your chest, that clench in your jaw, that's the first instinct to resist or avoid. Pause there. That is your sacred moment of choice. Breathe into the tightness. Say to yourself, softly, this is a wave. It is here. I can feel it. Don't say, I am the wave. Say, a wave of anxiety is passing through me. Then, mentally, turn your boat. Don't fight the feeling. Let it be there. Observe it with curiosity. Where do you feel it? What is its texture? Does it change as you watch it? By turning toward it with acceptance instead of resistance, you do the most counterintuitive and powerful thing, you stop adding secondary suffering to the primary sensation. The primary sensation is the wave, the pang of loss, the flash of anger. The secondary suffering is the tsunami of, this shouldn't be happening. I can't handle this. What does this mean about me? That secondary story is where we truly drown. Acceptance is dropping the story and meeting the bare sensation with openness. This hurts. And it is okay that it hurts. This is part of the human experience right now. In that allowing, the wave reveals its true nature, powerful, temporary, and unable to harm the vast ocean of your awareness that holds it. You stop being a fighter in the water and start being a wise sailor on the sea of your own life. Two travelers came to the gates of a legendary city of peace, Shantinagar. The gatekeeper, an old woman with eyes that saw everything, stopped them. To enter, she said, you must leave your burdens here. The first traveler, Arvin, carried a huge, ornate chest. He opened it proudly. It was filled with medals, diplomas, letters of praise, a fine suit, a mirror that showed only his best angle. "These are my achievements, my status, my face for the world," he said. "They are not burdens, they are who I am." The second traveler, Kale, carried only a small, simple pack. He laid it down and opened it. Inside were a few practical items, but also a heavy, ugly stone labeled, "My Father's Disappointment," a tattered flag that said, "The one who was wronged," and a small, shriveled puppet that looked like him, with strings leading to invisible hands. "These," Kale said softly, "are the things I think define me, even the painful ones." The gatekeeper looked at Arvin's chest. "You cannot bring the trophies. They are too heavy, and they will blind you to the city's true beauty." She looked at Kale's pack. "You must leave the stone, the flag, and the puppet. They are ghosts that will walk beside you and haunt every street." Arvin was furious. "Without my chest, I am nobody. I won't enter." And he turned back, dragging his heavy identity behind him. Kale stood for a long time. He touched the cold stone, felt the rough fabric of the flag, looked at the puppet's sad face. They were familiar, a part of his story. With a deep breath, he took them out one by one and laid them at the gate. He felt a terrifying lightness, a vulnerability, as if he had removed a shell. He kept only his practical items. "You may enter," said the gatekeeper, smiling for the first time. As Kale walked through the gates, something miraculous happened. The city was not made of gold or marble as he expected. It was ordinary, beautiful in its simplicity, trees, streams, people laughing. But he saw it with new eyes. Without the stone of his father's disappointment, he didn't feel small. Without the flag of grievance, he felt no need to prove his worth. Without the puppet strings, his movements felt free, his own. He met people, and for the first time, he wasn't wondering, "Do they see the stone? Do they respect my flag?" He was just meeting them. He realized the city's peace wasn't in its buildings, but in the unburdened hearts of those who walked its paths. He had not entered a place. He had entered a state of being, the state of being nobody special, and therefore, truly himself. This story cuts to the heart of the ego, the constructed self that Buddhism invites us to see through. Your trophies and your wounds, your inflated self-image and your self-loathing, they are two sides of the same chest. They are the stuff you carry and call to me. Letting go isn't about becoming nothing. It's about making space to be everything that is real, present, and uncontrived. You leave the heavy costumes of your past and your projections at the gate. What walks through is the unadorned, aware being you have always been. That being is light, free, and capable of a peace no trophy can ever provide. We've spoken of letting go, of non-attachment, of accepting waves. This can sound like building a fortress of calm, impervious to the world. But there is a subtle, more beautiful way, not building higher walls, but cultivating softer frontiers. When we are hurt by a betrayal, a rejection, a failure, the instinct is to contract, to close. We build a wall around the hurting place. Never again, we vow. We put up no entry signs on parts of our heart. We think this is strength. We call it boundaries, and sometimes it is necessary for a time. But when that closure becomes permanent, it becomes a prison. The wall meant to keep pain out also locks joy in a tiny cell, starving for light. Buddhist compassion, karuna, begins with oneself. And true compassion is not just soothing the wound, it's preventing the scar tissue from hardening so completely that it numbs you to life. Imagine your heart not as a fortress, but as a spongy, living moss on an ancient forest floor. When the rain comes, pain, difficulty, the moss doesn't repel it. It doesn't harden into stone. It absorbs. It accepts the moisture fully. It holds it for a time, and then, through its own natural process, it releases what it doesn't need, staying supple and alive. The rain doesn't destroy the moss, it sustains it. Without rain, the moss would dry up and crumble. Your capacity to feel is your aliveness. Numbness is not peace, it is a living death. The practice is to become like the moss, permeable, resilient, able to receive the downpour of experience without becoming rigid. So, when you feel that familiar tightening, that inward pull, that desire to shut down or lash out, pause. Place a gentle hand on your chest. Breathe into the very center of the tightness. Instead of thinking, I must protect myself, ask, can I soften here? Just 1%. Don't force it. Just invite it. Imagine the clenched muscle of your heart, or your gut, relaxing its grip by a hair's breadth. This is staying open. It is a courageous act of vulnerability to life itself. It means feeling the sting of disappointment without letting it become a permanent story of, people always let me down. It means feeling the ache of loneliness without letting it solidify into, I am unlovable. You let the emotion move through the soft, open terrain of your being. You feel it fully, and because you are open, it can also leave. This is the opposite of being a doormat. A doormat is passive and crushed. The moss is active in its receptivity. It filters, it transforms, it lives. When you stay open, you choose not to let a past injury dictate your present capacity for connection. You disarm the trigger by refusing to build the fortress around it. Your strength is not in your hardness, but in your fearless, gentle softness, your ability to be touched by life and still remain whole, flexible, and alive. A seeker came to a teacher living by a great river. I am confused, the seeker said. I hear one master say, be disciplined, renounce the world, sit in strict meditation. I hear another say, be in the world, enjoy its beauties, love freely. Which is the true path to peace? The teacher did not answer. He simply said, walk with me. He led the seeker to the river's edge. Look at the river, he said. What holds the water? The banks, said the seeker. And if there were no banks, the teacher asked. The water would spread everywhere. It would become a swamp, a flood. It would lose its direction and power. Correct, said the teacher. Now, what if the banks were made of solid iron, brought so close together that the water was squeezed into a narrow, pressurized jet? That would be violent, the seeker said. The water would cut and destroy. It would be trapped, unable to flow freely. The teacher smiled. The banks are the teachings. Discipline, ethics, mindfulness, they are the left bank. Joy, compassion, engagement with the world, they are the right bank. If you abandon all banks, believing that is freedom, your life becomes a swamp of indulgence and confusion. You have no direction. If you make the banks too rigid, too severe, your life becomes a pressured, cutting force. You become rigid, judgmental, and cut off from the beauty you are meant to flow through. He pointed to the river before them, wide, strong, and serene. The middle way, which the Buddha taught, is not a line down the center. It is the whole river, flowing freely between the banks. It uses the banks for direction and depth, but it is not imprisoned by them. It is water, adaptable, still in pools, energetic in rapids, deep in channels, always moving toward the ocean. Your spiritual life is this river. Too much harsh discipline without joy makes you brittle. Too much seeking pleasure without discipline makes you shallow. Peace is found in the dynamic balance. Sit in meditation, yes. And also, savor your food. Practice compassion for others. And also, set wise boundaries. Be serious about your growth. And also, laugh at the rain. Do not cling to either bank. Be the water that learns from both, and flows with wisdom and grace between them. The seeker understood. The path wasn't about choosing one extreme or the other, but about finding the natural, flowing course of his own life, guided by wisdom, the banks, but not confined by dogma, the iron walls. Peace was in the flow itself, in the adaptable, responsive, balanced movement through the landscape of his days. In a world engineered to hijack your focus, reclaiming your attention is not a productivity hack. It is a spiritual act of homecoming. Your attention is the pointer of your consciousness. Where it rests, you rest. If it rests on chaos, you become chaotic. If it rests on peace, you become peace. Think of your mind as having an inner sanctuary. This is a room inside you. It is quiet, lit by soft, natural light. The air is still. In the center, there is a single, comfortable seat for you. The walls are soundproof to the outside world, but they are made of a one-way glass. From the inside, you can see out clearly, you can observe the world, your thoughts, your feelings. But the noise cannot penetrate unless you open a window. Most of us live our entire lives outside this sanctuary. We are in the bustling, noisy marketplace of the mind. Vendors shout, advertisements, notifications. Arguments break out, inner criticism, worry. Parades of attractive distractions march by, social media, entertainment. We are buffeted, pulled, and utterly exhausted. We've forgotten the door to our own quiet room even exists. Mindfulness, at its core, is the simple act of remembering the door, walking through it, and sitting down in that central seat. It is the conscious withdrawal of your attention from the marketplace and its relocation in the observant calm of the sanctuary. From that seat, you can see everything. You see the vendor of anxiety shouting. But here, inside, his voice is muffled. You see the parade of regrets passing by. But from here, you observe it as a spectacle, not a truth. You are not in the crowd anymore. You are the silent witness in the safe, quiet room. How do you find the door? The breath is always the handle. Whenever you remember, in traffic, in an argument, in a moment of overwhelm, you feel your next breath. You follow it in, and you follow it out. That act of tuning in is you turning your back on the marketplace and stepping toward the sanctuary door. With the next breath, you step inside. You sit down. You look out at the commotion from a place of stillness. This is not escaping life. This is engaging with life from the only place where clarity is possible. You can't solve a complex problem in a riot. You need a quiet office. Your inner sanctuary is that office for your soul. From here, you can make decisions. From here, you can listen to your intuition. From here, you can simply rest. Practice this today. Set a timer for 3 minutes. Close your eyes. Feel your breath. Imagine with all your senses walking into that quiet, safe, observant room inside you. Sit down. And just watch. Watch the thoughts come and go like clouds outside the glass. Don't follow them. Just rest in the seat of the observer. When the timer goes, gently come back, carrying a little of that silence with you. The more you visit your sanctuary, the more real it becomes, until it becomes your default dwelling place, even with your eyes open. In a town obsessed with efficiency, the greatest clockmaker built a masterpiece, a clock that not only told time but whispered reminders. You are late. Time is wasting. Hurry up. The town bought his clocks eagerly, and soon every home ticked with anxious urgency. People walked faster, talked quicker, slept less. They became human metronomes, measuring their worth in tasks completed per hour. The clockmaker, however, grew deeply unhappy. He had all the time in the world, yet felt he had none. One day, he abandoned his workshop. He walked into the deep forest until he found a clearing where a perfect, still spring bubbled from the earth, forming a small, crystal-clear pool. There was no sound but birds and the gentle plink of water. He sat. And sat. He watched a leaf drift across the pool for what felt like hours. He noticed how the light changed infinitesimally on the water's surface. He felt his own heartbeat slow to match the timeless rhythm of the spring. For the first time in decades, he wasn't between anything. He wasn't leaving the past or going to the future. He was utterly, completely at the spring. He had a revelation. His clocks measured chronological time, a linear sequence of seconds. But the spring existed in presence time, an eternal, depth-filled now. The spring was always at the source, always renewing itself, never rushing to become the river it would eventually feed. He returned to the town a changed man. He didn't smash the clocks. He simply stopped listening to their whispers. When a customer complained, "There's not enough time," he would smile gently and say, "There is only now. And now is infinite, if you dare to step into it." We live in the clockmaker's town. Our devices whisper the same anxious reminders. We segment our lives into past, regret, nostalgia, and future, anxiety, planning, and we miss the only reality that exists, the present moment. The present is that eternal spring. It is always here, always full, always renewing itself. You can't run out of now. Buddhist mindfulness is the act of leaving the marketplace of time and sitting by the spring of the present. It's not about having more chronological hours, it's about sinking into the depth of the single moment you are in. When you are fully present with a cup of tea, that is a complete experience. When you are fully listening to a friend, that is a complete experience. You are drinking from the eternal spring. The frantic chase for more time is an illusion. What you crave is not more seconds, but more depth within the seconds you have. Put down the mental clock. Just for a few minutes today. Go to your spring. It might be your breath, the sky out your window, the feeling of your feet on the floor. Be the spring, not the clock. Be the deep, renewing presence, not the anxious pointer hurrying around a dial. In the depth of now, you find all the time you will ever need. We crave certainty like a life raft in a stormy sea. We want to know the outcome, the answer, the reason, the plan. We believe that if we can just figure it out, map it all, we will be safe. This desperate grip on knowing is another form of clinging, and it creates immense suffering. Because life, in its essence, is uncertain. It is mysterious, unfolding, and inherently unknowable in its totality. The mind, however, is a compulsive mapmaker. When faced with the blank spaces on the map, the "why did this happen?" or "what will happen next?" it rushes in with guesses, assumptions, stories, and fears. It would rather have a frightening, certain story, "they hate me," than sit in the peaceful, open space of not knowing, "I don't know what that look meant." Buddhist wisdom invites us to cultivate a radical friendliness with not knowing. In Zen, it's called beginner's mind, an openness free of the conclusions of the past. It's the understanding that your conceptual knowledge is a tiny island in a vast ocean of mystery, and true wisdom lies in embracing the ocean, not fortifying the island. Imagine you are walking on a narrow path through a dense, beautiful fog. Your old habit is to shine a frantic, narrow flashlight beam, trying to see 10 feet ahead, panicking when you can't. You stumble because you're focused on the patch of light, not on your feet. You're terrified of the fog. Now, imagine you turn off the flashlight. At first, it's scary. You can't see ahead at all. But then, your other senses come alive. You feel the solid earth beneath your feet with each step. You hear the birds in the trees you can't see. You smell the damp pine. You feel the cool mist on your skin. You realize you can walk perfectly well by trusting the feel of the path right under this step. You don't need to see the entire journey. You only need to be fully present for this single step. The fog isn't your enemy, it's what makes the journey intimate, sensory, and alive. The flashlight beam is your compulsive need for certainty, for a story. The fog is the beautiful, mysterious reality of life. When you stop trying to pierce the fog with your small light, you start to experience the richness of the journey itself. Practice this with small things. When you feel the itch to figure out why someone was short with you, or what a future event will bring, pause. Say to yourself, in this moment, I don't know. And that's okay. Feel the relief of putting down the heavy flashlight of certainty. Come back to the sensory truth of your breath, your body, the sounds around you. The path beneath this step. This not knowing is not ignorance. It is a humble, open receptivity to reality as it is, not as you think it should be. It is the space where true learning, wonder, and grace can enter. Many years ago, during my first silent retreat at a monastery, I was given a simple task: wash the teacups after the morning ceremony. I was nervous, wanting to be perfect, to prove I was a good student. One of the cups was ancient, beautiful, glazed in a deep celadon green. As I washed it, my hands, fumbling with eagerness, slipped. The cup hit the stone sink with a terrible crack. It broke into 3 large pieces. Horror washed over me. I had ruined something old and beautiful. I was certain I would be chastised, seen as a clumsy fool. My mind raced with stories of failure. I gathered the pieces, my face burning with shame, and went to find the senior monk. I held out the pieces, stammering an apology. He took them from me, his face calm. He turned the pieces over in his hands, studying the breaks. Then he looked at me, not with anger, but with something like curiosity. "Ah," he said. "Now it has a history." He took me to a small workshop. Instead of throwing the pieces away, he mixed a special gold lacquer, a Japanese method called kintsugi. He carefully glued the cup back together, not hiding the cracks, but highlighting them with fine lines of gold. The broken lines became part of the design, rivers of light on the Celadon landscape. When he was done, he handed it to me. The cup was whole again, but utterly transformed. It was more beautiful than before. It held its history with pride. "You see," he said softly, "we think wholeness means no breaks, no flaws. But true wholeness includes the breaks. It does not hide them. It honors them as part of the story." This cup is now more valuable, not less, because it has been broken and repaired with awareness. He let me keep the cup. To this day, I drink from it. It is my deepest teacher. It reminds me that every perceived flaw, every failure, every heartbreak in my own life is not a reason to discard myself. It is an invitation to repair with the gold of awareness, compassion, and acceptance. The cracks are where the light of wisdom enters. Your wholeness is not a state of pristine perfection. It is the courageous, beautiful act of embracing all your pieces, the smooth and the shattered, and understanding that the glue of conscious love can make you more radiant, more unique, and more complete than any idealized, untouched version ever could. This is the heart of Buddhist compassion, seeing the brokenness in ourselves and the world not as a problem to be hidden, but as the very site of transformation and beauty. You are not broken. You are a masterpiece in progress, with veins of gold tracing your every experience. We have traveled through many stories and teachings today. We've spoken of the sky and the weather, the still lake and the upstream chaos, the weaver and the tapestry, the marionette strings, the librarian's book, the wave and the boat, the gatekeeper's gate, the forest moss, the river's banks, the inner sanctuary, the eternal spring, the path in the fog, and the broken cup repaired with gold. These are all just fingers pointing at the same moon. The moon is your own innate, peaceful, aware nature. It has always been there, shining behind the passing clouds of your thoughts, your struggles, your identities. The entire spiritual journey is simply a matter of ceasing to focus so intently on the clouds that you forget the constant, luminous presence of the moon. You have been seeking peace as if it were a destination far away. It is not. Peace is the ground of your being. It is what remains when you stop adding agitation to your experience. It is the silent awareness that reads these words right now. You haven't lost it. You've just been looking in the wrong direction, out there, in the world of conditions, instead of in here, in the world of the witness. So, let's end as we began, with a simple return. A guided meditation to come home. Find your position. Allow your body to be supported. Let your eyes close gently. Bring your awareness to the sound of my voice, and let all other sounds just be part of the background. Now, take 3 deep breaths, inhaling slowly, and exhaling fully, releasing any effort to be anywhere but here. Now, let your breathing return to its natural rhythm, and bring your attention to the physical sensations in your body. Start at the crown of your head, just noticing any sensation there: pressure, lightness, temperature. Then let your awareness drift slowly down to your forehead, your eyes, your jaw, noticing without needing to change anything. Down to your neck and shoulders, perhaps feeling the weight of them releasing just a little. Down through your arms to your hands, feeling the aliveness in your fingertips. Let your awareness rest in your chest, the rise and fall with each breath, feeling the heart space, just as it is. Down through your abdomen, your lower back, feeling the support of the earth beneath you. Down through your hips, your legs. All the way to your feet, feeling the connection to the ground. Now, expand your awareness to feel your entire body, all at once, a field of sensation, alive and present. This is your physical home, the vehicle for this life. Now, let your attention go deeper, to the space behind the sensations, to the awareness that is knowing these sensations. That aware space is silent, still, and boundless. It is like the sky. Notice any thoughts that arise. See them as clouds. Forming, drifting, dissolving in this vast sky of awareness. You are not the clouds. You are the sky that holds them. Spacious, clear, untroubled. Notice any emotions that are present. See them as weather moving through the sky, a breeze, a rain shower, a patch of sun. They come, they stay for a time, they change, they go. You are not the weather. You are the sky that allows all weather, unchanged at its core. Rest here, as the sky, as the silent, aware space in which everything appears. No need to do anything. No need to change anything. No need to go anywhere. You are already home. You have always been home. This aware, peaceful presence is your true nature. In this space, set a gentle intention. May I carry this remembrance of sky-like awareness into my day. May I meet each experience as the sky meets the weather, with spaciousness, allowing, and inherent peace. When you are ready, gently bring your awareness back to the feeling of your body, the weight, the contact. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Take a deeper, nourishing breath. And as you feel ready, allow your eyes to open, bringing this soft, open awareness with you into the room. The journey we've shared today is not a one-time event. It is a remembering. You will forget, and remember, and forget, and remember again. Each moment of remembering, of pausing, of breathing, of seeing the sky instead of the storm, is a victory. It is a step on the path of mastering the only thing you ever truly can. Your own relationship with this present experience. You don't have to carry everything. You don't have to fix the world. You don't have to be perfect. You only have to be present, and from that presence, wise action will naturally arise. Thank you for spending this time in the monk's temple. If any part of this long journey resonated with you, touched a place of recognition or relief, I would be deeply honored if you shared your thoughts in the comments below. Which story, which metaphor, which moment spoke to you most clearly? Your sharing helps build this community of awakening. And if you wish to be reminded to return to this space of calm wisdom, consider subscribing and clicking the bell. It is a simple way to honor your own commitment to peace. Until next we meet, be gentle with yourself. Remember the sky. Remember the spring. Remember the gold in your cracks. You are so much more, and so much more peaceful, than you have been taught to believe. Go in peace. Live in awareness.